Hola, bienvenidos a multilinguals.com. Today we will discuss demonstrative pronouns or demonstrative adjectives or neutral pronouns. How is it possible that we have three names for the same words? It is because of the function that they have in Spanish. So we're going to see the two functions that they also have in English and a third one, which is neutral pronouns, that is only for Spanish. Let's start. So for example, in English, you will have demonstrative adjectives. An adjective, remember, is a word that modifies a noun. For example, here, the noun would be shoes. So, for example, if I want to say, I like these shoes, the word these modifies the word shoes. So that would be an adjective. That in Spanish would be, me gustan estas zapatillas. Me gustan estas zapatillas, where estas is the demonstrative adjective because it's modifying the noun zapatillas. But in the phrase, I like these, the word these becomes a pronoun because it replaces the noun. In this case, the noun was shoes, so the word these replaces shoes, becoming a pronoun. In Spanish, that would be me gustan estas. I like these, where the word these is estas. So in this case, estas is functioning in speech as a pronoun, as a pronombre demostrativo. The third function is to be a neutral pronoun. This is something that is only for Spanish, and we're going to deal with that at the end. In English, we group these words by proximity, if something is close to you or not. So, for example, you would say this or these, and you would say that or those. So you have two categories for proximity. In Spanish, we add even a third one. We have este, esta, ese, esa, but if something is farther away, we would say aquel, aquella, meaning that one over there. A second way we group these words in English is by number. We can say this or these. We can say that or those. In Spanish, we can say the same. We can say ese, esos, este, estos, aquel, aquellos, but we also have gender. So you can say este or esta for this. You can say ese o esa for that. And you can also say aquellos or aquellas for those. So, for example, here, if you had to say to somebody, would you like this one or this one? How would you say that in Spanish? First, you have to remember that it's very close to you. And then you have to remember the gender. So, telephone, teléfono is masculine, whether tablet is feminine. So, how would you say that? Would you like this one or this one? That would be, ¿quieres este o esta? ¿Quieres este o esta? Porque la palabra teléfono es masculina, pero la palabra tablet es femenina. El teléfono, la tablet. Este teléfono, esta tablet. Now, what about if it's more than one? Then we would say, ¿quieres estos zapatos o estas zapatillas? ¿Quieres estos zapatos o estas zapatillas? The word zapatos is masculine and the word zapatilla is feminine. So remember, estos zapatos. Me gustan estos zapatos. Prefiero, I prefer, prefiero estas zapatillas rojas. No me gustan estos zapatos. Prefiero estas zapatillas rojas. So, what about if something or somebody is not as close to you as before? So you would say, for example, in this case, these, these children. Or if it was singular, you would say that boy, that girl. So how do we say that in Spanish? That would be ese chico, ese niño, esa chica, esa niña. That boy, that girl. Ese niño, esa niña, ese chico, esa chica. The word chico means small. So we can call a boy, instead of saying a niño, we can call him chico. The same with girl. Ese chico, esa chica. But what about plural? Now, if we were referring to both of them, how would you call them? Esos, esos chicos, esos chicos, esos niños. So remember here that the word esos is masculine. Because we have a male and a female, we are going to use the masculine word for that. Also, if there were two boys, we're going to call them esos. Esos niños, esos chicos. But if the two words are feminine, like in this case, two girls, we're going to say esas. Esas niñas, esas chicas. So remember, two girls, two feminine things, feminine word, esas, in this case, plural. One and one male, one female, or two male things or persons, we're going to say esos, esos chicos. So in Spanish, as we saw before, we have a third category, which is when things are even farther away, which would be the equivalent of saying that one over there. So how do we say that? We say aquel, aquella. Aquel for masculine, aquella for feminine. Aquel, aquella. So for example, you can say aquel auto azul, or you can say aquella casa blanca. Aquel auto azul, aquella casa blanca. In plural, you would say aquellos for masculine. Aquellos autos que están allá. Aquellos autos que están allá. Aquellos autos que están allá. Or you can also say aquellos autos, those cars over there. For feminine, you would say aquellas casas blancas. Aquellas casas blancas. Aquellas casas blancas. And also, in Spanish, we have the neutral pronouns. What is that? So, for example, if you wanted to say this is important, when you speak about this, it's not either feminine or masculine. It is a concept or an idea. So, to say this is important, we would say esto es importante. Esto es importante. Neither feminine nor masculine. When we go farther back in time, we would say eso fue importante. That was important because you're going farther back in time. Eso, like distance. Eso fue importante. That was important. Eso fue importante. And if you want to go even farther back in time, we would say aquello. Aquello fue importante. That was important. So in our minds, when we speak Spanish, we also make a difference with like distance in time, going back in time. So we have these three distances also. So for example, if you were asked, which telephone do you want? You can say, ¿quieres este teléfono? ¿Quieres ese teléfono? ¿O aquel teléfono? ¿Cuál quieres? ¿Este, ese o aquel? According to the distance. Este, ese o aquel. So this is the final list of all of the demonstrative pronouns or adjectives that we have. So remember, singular, este, esto, esta when they're close, ese, eso, esa when they're farther away, aquel, aquello, aquella when they are over there. In plural, that would be estos, estas for things that are close, esos, esas for things that are not that close, and aquellos, aquellas for things that are farther away. And finally, this is something that you want to remember. You can see these words that appear to be the same, but they're not. Why? Because of the tilde, because of the accent mark. So what's the difference between esta and esta? Listen to the pronunciation first. Esta, esta. Where's the stress? In the first syllable. Esta, esta, esta. Compare with the second one. Está, está, está. In the second one, the tilde marks that the last syllable has to be stressed there. So see the difference. Esta, está, esta, está. So the first one, esta, means this, whereas está is the conjugation of the verb to be. So for example, está would be he is or she is. So remember that because accent marks in Spanish do matter.